The video is grainy, shot from high above the vast, dark expanse of the ocean. The world below is almost invisible, shrouded in darkness, save for the faint outlines picked up by the camera's night vision. It's a perspective few ever see, a silent witness to a hidden conflict unfolding far from the eyes of the world. A small, sleek vessel cuts through the waves, designed for stealth, not leisure. Its low profile and dark hull make it nearly invisible against the midnight sea, moving with purpose and urgency, as if it knows it's being watched. Suddenly, white splashes erupt ahead, warning shots from an unseen predator above. The water churns violently, a stark warning that the boat has been spotted and is now in grave danger. The boat surges forward, undeterred. Its crew, likely desperate, push the engines to their limit, hoping to outrun whatever is hunting them from the sky. Then, a precise burst of fire streaks down, striking the vessel. The attack is swift, calculated, and leaves no room for escape. A flash of orange, a fireball, and the boat is consumed, wreckage and smoke billowing skyward. In seconds, the sea is illuminated by destruction, and the evidence of the strike floats in the darkness. This is not just a single operation, it's a chilling display of military power. A life ended in seconds. The message is unmistakable. The reach of modern warfare extends even to the most remote corners of the world. The footage released by the US military offers a rare glimpse into a shadowy conflict far from public view. These images are carefully selected, revealing just enough to hint at the scale and secrecy of the operations taking place. The aircraft is secretive, its capabilities undisclosed. It operates in the shadows, its presence only revealed by the devastation it leaves behind. The target, what the Pentagon calls a narco-terrorist vessel. These boats are suspected of smuggling drugs, weapons, or even people, and are now considered legitimate targets in a new kind of war. The outcome, lethal, swift, and final. There is no trial, no warning, just a sudden and irreversible end. This event raises profound questions about the rules of engagement and the expanding definition of the battlefield. Where does the battlefield end, and who decides when lethal force is justified? The images send a message. No place is safe for traffickers. The ocean, once a vast and lawless expanse, is now under constant surveillance and threat. Yet, for many, the footage brings unease. We are witnessing an extrajudicial killing, carried out remotely. The line between justice and execution blurs in the glow of the night vision screen. The stark reality forces a difficult conversation about the price of this strategy. Are we safer, or have we crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed? The debate over these tactics is now playing out in the halls of power and homes across the country. As technology changes the face of war, society must grapple with the moral and legal consequences of fighting a secret war in the shadows. The December 22nd operation was no random act. This was a meticulously planned maneuver, months in the making, with every detail scrutinized by top military strategists. The world watched as the US flexed its military might in a region already simmering with tension. It was a calculated military strike by US Southern Command, the nerve center for American operations in Latin America and the Caribbean. Under Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, this command has shifted into a new, aggressive phase in the fight against drug cartels, one that blurs the boundaries between traditional warfare and covert operations. Highly trained personnel, many with backgrounds in special operations, now use advanced surveillance, cyber tools, and precision weapons to hunt their targets. Their work is relentless, often unfolding in the shadows far from public view. Their enemy is not a nation-state but a shadowy network of criminal enterprises, cartels that move billions in drugs, money, and weapons, adapting quickly to every new threat. The Pentagon labeled the vessel's operator a narco-terrorist, framing the strike as counterterrorism and signaling a dramatic escalation in rhetoric and policy. This legal shift justifies military force, blurring the lines between war and law enforcement, and raising urgent questions about oversight and accountability. The specific cartel remains unnamed, but the context is broader. Regional governments, especially Venezuela and Colombia, are drawn in, their sovereignty tested as U.S. operations spill across borders. The Trump administration links this campaign to its foreign policy, pressuring Venezuelan President Maduro and accusing him of cartel collaboration, while using the crisis to rally domestic support. Regional leaders, whether allies or adversaries, are forced to respond to U.S. actions in their backyard, navigating a complex web of diplomacy, security, and public opinion. The American public and Congress are also key players, their reactions shaping the political landscape and influencing future operations. The Pentagon's release of combat footage was deliberate, forcing a national reckoning and sparking debate on the ethics and effectiveness of such missions. Some see decisive action against a growing threat. Others raise alarms about legality, morality, and the risk of unintended consequences. Lawmakers and human rights groups demand transparency, oversight, and a robust public debate about the expanding role of the military. The campaign's rapid escalation has deadly consequences, far from any declared war zone, leaving a region and the world wondering what comes next. The high-profile strike occurred December 22nd, just before Christmas, a violent interruption to a season of peace. It was the latest in a series of operations in the Eastern Pacific, a primary corridor for drug smuggling. This region, long a focus for counter-narcotics, is now a battleground where smugglers use stealth boats and semi-submersibles to evade detection. Unlike past law enforcement interdictions, this was a lethal military strike, part of a broader campaign that began quietly in September. The timing, as Congress finalized a military spending bill and the administration escalated rhetoric, ensured the event dominated headlines. The message, "Nowhere is safe for traffickers," and U.S. resolve is on full display. The December strike was just one chapter in a rapidly escalating campaign, a campaign that has fundamentally altered the landscape of anti-narcotics operations in the Americas. Since September, the U.S. has launched at least 29 similar strikes in the Pacific and Caribbean, over 2 per week. These operations span thousands of miles, targeting suspected trafficking routes and safe havens with unprecedented frequency and coordination. This marks a shift from traditional law enforcement tactics, arrests, and seizures, to systematic lethal force, with military assets now at the forefront of the fight. At least 105 people have been killed in these strikes, often labeled narco-terrorists by officials, but with little public evidence provided to support these claims. The true identities and affiliations of many victims remain unclear. Critics warn of due process concerns and the risk of mistaken identity, raising alarms about the lack of transparency and oversight in these operations. The campaign targets not just surface vessels. In October, a U.S. strike destroyed a drug-running submarine, demonstrating a willingness to pursue traffickers wherever they operate, even beneath the waves. The message is clear: no method of smuggling is safe, whether by air, land, or sea. Every avenue is now under intense scrutiny and threat of force. The strategy extends beyond direct strikes. Economic pressure on Venezuela now includes a blockade of oil vessels and the seizure of tankers, aiming to cut off vital funding sources for both cartels and their alleged state sponsors. This two-pronged approach, military action and economic warfare, aims to dismantle both cartel operations and the governments accused of supporting them, creating a web of pressure across the region. The result is a comprehensive, aggressive strategy that is rapidly reshaping the region's drug war, with ripple effects felt far beyond the immediate conflict zones. Yet the human and political costs are mounting. Civilians are caught in the crossfire, and the long-term consequences for regional stability remain uncertain. The debate over this new approach is only intensifying as leaders, activists, and ordinary citizens grapple with the balance between security and justice in a rapidly changing landscape. The Trump administration justifies the campaign by framing it as a non-international armed conflict with drug cartels. Officials argue these cartels are sophisticated, violent threats to U.S. national security, warranting military response. The alleged link between cartels and Venezuela's Maduro is central. Targeting smuggling operations is also pressure on his regime. President Trump's rhetoric is direct, warning Maduro and Colombian President Petro to cooperate or face consequences. Officials claim the strikes disrupt trafficking and eliminate key operatives, pointing to combat footage as proof of effectiveness. The narrative: these are tough but necessary actions to protect America from drugs and terrorism. The campaign has sparked fierce criticism at home and abroad. Lawmakers from both parties question the president's authority to wage war on cartels without Congress. Human rights groups condemn the strikes as extrajudicial killings, demanding transparency and proof of imminent threat. Regional governments, including Colombia and Venezuela, denounced the operations as violations of sovereignty. Critics warn that unilateral military force risks inflaming tensions and setting dangerous precedents. The lack of transparency only deepens suspicion and calls for oversight. At the heart of the controversy is a legal and constitutional debate. The administration claims authority under the commander-in-chief powers, classifying the campaign as armed conflict. Critics argue drug trafficking doesn't meet the threshold for war, making these strikes extrajudicial killings. International law typically requires boarding and arrest, not preemptive destruction. The lack of congressional approval and oversight is a major concern. Secrecy around the program makes accountability nearly impossible. The campaign exists in a legal gray zone, with lethal decisions made behind closed doors. The future of this aggressive strategy is uncertain, but the debate is far from over. Lawmakers are pushing for transparency, demanding release of all combat footage. Escalation is possible. Future strikes could target assets linked directly to state actors, risking wider conflict. Domestically, the legal battle over presidential war powers will intensify, possibly reaching the courts. The core questions remain: is this campaign a necessary deterrent or reckless escalation? Does it make America safer or undermine the rule of law? As more information emerges, the nation must decide if this secret war is the right path, or if a new course is needed. The stakes could not be higher.